impressive enough on its own, so they added an extra waterfall on top. However, Vikings did our history quite well, and it's about 65 meters down of the old coastline here in Iceland. But what makes this waterfall more unique than anything else is running around. But I can also tell you that we refer to the Icelandic sheep as the Icelandic killer sheep. But that is only because the Icelandic sheep is one of the most dangerous animals in Iceland. Now the reason for that is because sheep, they roam free in the summertime, and they should be roaming free, so we're in the highlands, far away from the roads, but they do tend to keep quite close to the roads because of the salt that accumulates at the side of the road at the end of winter. And of course these sheep always think that the grass is greener and tastier on the other side of the street, and they tend to jump over the road when cars are going by and cause road accidents. And because of that, and because they are the most common cause of road accidents in Iceland in summer, we have given them the nickname the Icelandic killer sheep. Now it is also because of the lack of predators in Icelandic nature, so we had to make one for ourselves. Now one more thing I will tell you about the Icelandic lamb or sheep. If you have not tasted the Icelandic lamb yet, you are definitely missing out. Lamb in Iceland is a lot different than lamb elsewhere, and I can promise you that you will not be disappointed. Of course, one of our more traditional dishes is the lamb soup, which is always a great choice, but don't be shy to try the lamb. Even though you don't like lamb elsewhere, Icelandic lamb is very, very different. Now the white entity that is above us here to the left is in fact Eyjafjallajökull, and it is going to be following us along the road until we come to our first waterfall of the day. But then another one is going to take over, which is Mýrdalsjökull. But the reason for the saying, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, is technically because of the south coast. But due to the closeness of the glaciers to the ocean here down below us to the right, there are these micro the very vast effects of these mountains being much looser on the road. You have to look to the side of the road for the killer sheep, and then you have to look upwards, because if you're driving in areas like these and the earth is shaking too much, a very large boulder might be running towards your car. Now also because of this, we have given mountains like these nicknames, but we in fact refer to them as the Rolling Stones. But now we are also driving into the area that was most affected by this volcanic eruption of 2010, and the farm. And if you Google the Eyjafjallajökull eruption, you are going to see a picture of this farm with the ash clouds rising up from behind. But then in the next mountain valley, up here to our left, you can find the oldest swimming pool in Iceland. But a strange looking building that is built out of turf, stone and grass. Now turf, stone and grass were the main materials for us Icelanders to build our houses out of, and that is of course due to the lack of trees and also the indigenous tree not lending itself very well to housemaking. The wood is basically too small and too soft. But then thankfully around the next mountain corner we have our first beautiful place to visit today, which is Skógafoss waterfall, or the forest waterfall. Now Skógafoss is quite famous because it has been both on Game of Thrones and on Vikings. Now Game of Thrones did not believe that the waterfall was impressive enough on its own, so they added an extra waterfall on top. However, Vikings did our history quite well, and this waterfall is often called Floki's waterfall, but it is the waterfall that in the scene where Floki is arriving in Iceland. Now the name of the waterfall, Forest Waterfall, confuses a lot of people. People are like, where is all of this forest that this waterfall gets its name from? Well, it is of course the natural forest that is going to be on either side of the road here. One that is here up to our right, and the other one that is coming into view here out to our left. But I can tell you the best thing about natural Icelandic forest is that if you ever get lost in one, usually the only thing you need to do is stand up. But the waterfall itself falls about 65 meters down off the old coastline here in Iceland. But what makes this waterfall more unique than anything else is in fact that it gets water from two different glaciers, and that is Eyjafjallajökull here behind. along Eyjafjöll mountain range, but similar to Ingol's mountain earlier, these mountains used to be part of the old coastline here in Iceland, and the area we are driving on now is a part of the old seabed as well as the volcanic soil that we have here in Iceland. But because they used to be the old coastline, they are much looser in consistency. And in this area we have discovered over 200 man-made caves, and that is the most amount of caves that has been found in any area in the country, and that is because it was much easier to carve out these mountains than mountains elsewhere within the country. Now 41 out of the 200 have been protected as historical ruins. Now we didn't live in the caves all year round in this area, but they were mostly used as storage and also as places where the farmhands could maybe get out of the very bad weather that sometimes tends to happen. But then also people that came used to not sit on top of the icebergs. Now the reason for that is because you can be carried out to sea. And if you do not believe me, I can recommend a video on YouTube called Grandma on Ice in Iceland. But last summer an unfortunate American grandmother sat on top of one of the icebergs and was carried out to sea by the waves. So we do not want to get into the news in Iceland, so I would recommend not sitting on top of the ice. But usually when I do this tour, I have a song that is playing around in my head. Now it is not the best song in the world. It is actually quite a bad song if I think about it. But I always say that this song is the theme song for this tour. And I usually start to think about it quite excessively, especially when I start to see the edge of the glacial lagoon that I can see now here ahead of us. But I of course know where it is, so that's why I can see it. But just so you can join in the fun that is happening in my head, here is the theme song for today. And thankfully for technology I can have my phone play it for you and I don't have to sing it myself. But this is just for a little bit of fun, but this is the theme song of the Glacial Lagoon tour.